So we are back due to technical issues, and we are right now waiting for guests. I don't exactly know what to do. Should wait. Yes, you're here. Kinda. Are you here?
Okay, can you hear me?
Uh, uh, yes. I think you have to introduce.
But my picture's kind of messed up, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, do you mind just doing it without the video?
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, podcast one. So let's do this.
Ah.
Okay. It was actually great. I just watched a lot of the lives in the last couple of hours. Uh,
Mm.
Starting from South June. I think I missed out on Rios, but everything else was like insanely cool. You know, how they share their experiences and everything. So it's very level.
So, like to begin, what do you think is like a role of an artist in our society?
I mean, it's there is no one answer to it, like we all know. And I guess I guess we're all artists in our own, perspective and way. We just practice different forms of it. You know, I heard someone who said engineering is also an art and architecture is also art in its own form and everything else. So I guess, we as human beings, we just try different, things in our life and we have different ways of expressing ourselves. And what falls under art one day is just every like music and dance and films and everything else. So I like
Life, life would be very scary if doctors started performing arts.
yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, that's absolutely true. I guess incisions and everything else could also be considered art, but that's a very liberal view of just looking at all these different kinds of you know fields of science and everything else. So yeah,
So,
kandipa.
what are your personal struggles like in like arts? Like, what are your personal struggles, and why do you even like go through these struggles? Why do you even keep up with them?
Okay, at the end of the day, I think, after listening to all these different artists, right, it's just, all of these people, and including myself here, and I'm sure I know it's the same for you, it's about being heard. It's about expressing ourselves in a way that is, unique to our essence as a human being, I guess.
Hmm.
So in like what are we as human beings if we don't get to express ourselves, if we don't get to show the world what we are and show a different, just give them a different perspective about the world that we live in. So I think that's what's, keeping all of us just on the pedal,
Hmm.
keeping us, working through all the hardships and everything else that comes with, the world that we live in, the society that we live in. So yeah.
So, what is something that you had to go through to be here? Or
Uh, I mean, considering my life story, I started off as a science kid, was a science kid throughout my, middle school years and almost through high school. But, switching up to do a form of art, to practice a medium of art, uh, it's a big jump considering the society that we're in. Of course, my parents were incredibly supportive from the start, but, I think it's films are stigmatized like any other art form, I guess, but film has this higher level of like just hatred, or people are just scared of the industry, I guess, because of how violent or how unwelcoming it might seem.
hmm.
So it was a great barrier to get through, considering my relatives are pretty conservative, if I can say. So at the end of the day, I guess the first entries of barrier are through the people around you. And I was lucky with the fact that my parents were super supportive. Like my immediate family was supportive, and I couldn't care less about the others. Mm.
So, like with the parents' support, did the people who didn't support actually have like an impact on you as much as the people who did support you?
Yeah, it sounds very cliched, but it gives you this additional drive to do something more, to kind of, you know, just put it up to their face to say, hey, you know what, this is what I've done. You don't believe in me, but
Mm.
it's a weird kind of vengeance, I guess, but it's, but it is, a fruitful success, I guess, when you do go through the process of trying to prove everyone who thought you were not going to amount to anything, you know. I think that's what it is.
What is your unrealistic goal? Like you've gone through all this. What is your unrealistic? Why do you even do this? Where is somewhere that you want to reach?
This started off from like a very petty, place where I felt I wasn't heard as much in conversations, like, in everyday conversations, or when people are like showing off their photographs or, their short films and everything else. People have this weird opportunity of just, flexing, right? They just, and other people just adore that. So as shallow as this might sound, I do want to be adored. I do want to be admired for the art that I put up and respected for the perspective that I'm providing to this world. So I guess that's an unrealistic goal considering the scale that I want to do it in. So that's what it is.
So where do you want to be? Where is one place that you really want to see, like your pinnacle of your dreams?
Pinnacle of my success would be, trying to be as global as possible. But, if India knows me, if 1.3 billion people know me, like imagine, like everyone has at least heard of Rajinikanth, right?
Ah,
Like even up north. Like that's the unrealistic goal that I have. That, the 1.3 billion people know a Rahul PG, I guess. So yeah, that's where that stands.
so when you write stories and like when you like do your arts,
Mm.
is there a point where you think this might not reach? This is something I want to do, but this is not something that's commercial, so I probably should change this.
Uh, yeah, that's been a major factor, even with film school, right? Even though you experiment and do things like I do out in Singapore, with my documentaries and everything else. It's experimental at this point, but uh, they sort of prepare you for the outside world, which is more commercially driven, which is more economically driven to sustain the art. So
Mm.
we're taught to kind of, I wouldn't say pander, but taught to actually understand the other side of it as well. It's not just about it being art house. It's understanding commercialism. It's understanding all the different facets that go into filmmaking. So with the stories that we write, sometimes you are forced to kind of, pin down something that might seem outwardly commercial. So,
Mm.
so yeah.
So, so we're talking about the censorship and like the new wave of movies that are coming up. Do you think that is actually
Right.
making an impact on like how you write and things, like knowing that there is a whole new space where you can put it up online and all that. You don't have to be fixed to the constraints of before.
Absolutely, I believe in that. And with, OTT, like, everyone else was talking about as well, with, Sarjun and Vedesh.
Mm.
OTTs come in, like India digitized and, got itself on the internet in the right time as these global companies started gaining traction.
Mm.
And content has been, it's available more than ever, and YouTube becoming more constrictive gives opportunity to platforms like Netflix and Amazon or any of these other Indian streaming websites as well. You know
Mm.
to give them an opportunity to put up content and not having to deal with the censor board issues that most of our, filmmakers go through on a daily basis. Like a very popular example is Parthiban. You know, all of his films have a huge amount of backlash when it goes through to the censor board because
Mm.
it's kind of raw. It's he wants it to be as raw as possible. He wants it to hit you in a place where it would make direct impact, and that's what he does. And for a person like Parthiban, with Otta Serupu, if he had released it, Otta Serupu Size 7 is the film. If he had released it, on a platform like Netflix directly, it would have just, skyrocketed to another place.
Yeah.
So, I guess, India's growing RSS censorship module has been kind of defeated by the OTT, service streams. I just, like Sarjan was saying, there are some constraints coming up, lately with censorship. So I hope that's not a reality that we have to face in the next couple of years, like including myself and you know, because for a fact, the films that we think about aren't ones you can actually put up in a conventional movie theater.
Yeah. True.
So, so as an artist, you also understand how, that censorship kind of affects the art that we want to do. So, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, as an answer, yeah, OTT is definitely helping the censorship issue that we have.
Do you think that people's mentality might change eventually with censorship?
With censorship, right? It is deep rooted. It is our society that's keeping us away from the censorship that we face today. And when the old guard dies out, is the argument. But the problem is the old guard is creating new guards of conservatism as well.
Mm.
So, maybe, you know, within our generation and the people that are exposed to the world like we are, we're a lot more open to the idea. I think we're a lot more liberal in that way. So I don't know, maybe when our children come up, censorship wouldn't be such an issue when the next generation comes up. But for now, it seems like this is the paradigm shift for, censorship. It could go terribly wrong or just incredibly well. So
Uh,
yeah.
so I think okay for the upcoming filmmaker, technology has become incredibly cheap. Like everything around has become incredibly cheap, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Computers are cheaper. You can make a movie with your phone. Uh, you can distribute on YouTube. Uh, how do you see this? How do you see this thing where everybody is an artist? Everybody has the possibility to be an artist.
I mean, I guess we're also a part and parcel of that generation. At least we started off a bit earlier, so we don't really have to associate ourselves with the new filmmakers, the ones who like like we talked about earlier. There's like this huge bombardment towards YouTube and all the short films that come out. So many pages just trying to promote them as well, right?
Yeah.
I guess technology has made it easier for people who want to, you know, share their artistic perspective online, but
Mm.
I don't think everyone's I don't think people like, people of the same circle or group make a huge difference in the way they look at things. You know, it's not an entirely different perspective. It's a perspective kind of altered. So I think there is a point of saturation that we're reaching at this moment. And if it goes on, it'll be hard to kind of filter out the good ones to see who's actually great, who's actually providing something insightful that the world has never seen, and something as repetitive as YouTube short films can be.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that's where it stands, I guess, at this point.
So what are some hardships that you faced like in college or like in film or what is something that you would want to warn people about like don't get into this without knowing about this thing, what would that thing be?
Okay. Uh, I think it was one of these people. I think it was Vedesh who quoted you have to stand up and out for 8 hours a day,
Hmm.
and only then will you be able to like actually work in a film set. I don't think he's wrong at all. Um, Film sets are harsh, they're crucial, to like the whole development of the film. But one thing that people kind of underestimate is the fact that they don't understand how much people's skill is a requirement through your everyday, film set experience or, film as a whole. With every other, artist that we've had here, they could work solo. They could, like, I was listening to Varun. He said he was, it's more collaborative music. And of course, there's a side to it that we don't really talk about. But as collaborative music is, film is kind of the same. It's kind of, in the same, you know, race, I guess. Everything is collaborative. People don't usually get what you have in your head.
Hmm.
And, to translate that out to the world is an insanely hard task that no one, really thinks about. They're always thinking about, oh shit, I need it. I mean, of course, good content is important, but being able to translate good content to your, crew, to your technicians is a whole other, like, skill that
Hmm.
everyone kind of overlooks. Well, the second thing about uh, that people don't understand with regards to film is everyone's got an ego, everyone's got a perspective, everyone
Hmm.
is, quote, an artist there. So just like you, everyone else wants to climb up onto that stage to share their own perspective. And sometimes they'd want to do that within your own space. So that can get kind of messy when you don't understand where they're coming in from. And of course, politics is a huge, it plays a huge role in any circumstance. If you're in your own country, it's pretty decent, but take it from a person who's done films out in Singapore. It is not easy adjusting to a cultural setting that's completely different from yours. And you're always an
Hmm.
outsider. Your thoughts are always, off an outsider's, dome. And that's how they see you as well. I mean, with a country like Singapore, racism is prevalent. I say it all the time. I say it to them. It's as developed and as progressive as it might seem. It has some pretty regressive and dark sides to it.
True.
Uh, so so yeah, I mean, like you were in Singapore, you know how
Yeah.
race politics works there. So I don't need to tell you how hard it is to actually, get noticed. So if you're planning on going to another country to make your films, don't. Make sure you get your foothold out in your own space. Once you're comfortable with translating your ideas, then, and once people believe in the work that you put out, I guess it's a lot easier of a transition.
Like once you have a
So,
name,
yeah, once
your
you have a
race is
name,
second.
yeah, like Anurag Kashyap could go out to Singapore and they'd be like, oh my God, Anurag Kashyap is great, and we'd want to do a film for him and everything else. But
Hmm.
you know, Rahul Indian, and then filmmaker comes out first, rather than Rahul director Indian. It's kind of like the reverse. Like you definitely need a name and this fame around you, for you to fight this whole battle of racism, I guess.
I think the easiest way to understand this concept is imagine you were making a movie and it came on headlines. Just picture the headlines. If it says Indian filmmaker so and so, that means don't go there. Once it says so and so Indian filmmaker, maybe go there.
Yeah,
The goal
exactly.
is so and so filmmaker. That is the goal, but uh, just that's the three uh, divisions of the
Most
subject.
definitely. Most definitely, yeah.
So, what is
Uh,
one thing that is not keeping you, not like, just keeping you here rather than being where you want to be?
I For a film student, I guess it's a lot more restrictive in terms of the time that we have. I mean, I know people say, you can get up at 5 and, write a story, go out to your school at 6 and everything else. But it is definitely hard when you're working 14 or 15 hours a day and then you're coming back home to eat food and then you just want to like take a break, you just want to like snap out of everything that you've gone through in that particular day.
Mm.
So I think it's something that people like time management is something that is keeping me back as well. I know that for a fact, and I know every artist, like if you're a filmmaker, you need time. Like it has to be in your pocket. Like you need to know how you're managing your time, and it's crucial, definitely crucial. And if you don't have that figured out, you know, you're not gonna be making anything in the next couple of 100 years. So I guess time management is something that is also keeping me back. And of course, the environment that I live in is a bit more hostile than I expected it to be. So to be very candid, so it's a race towards I guess actually trying to prove yourself out against all the anomalies. I guess it's just hard sometimes. I, I think at the end of it, if you feel like a situation is kind of for any art form, if any situation or environment is kind of ruining the art form for you, like it's, kind of getting you, uninterested in the form that you're practicing, I think you have to remove yourself from that situation. I think it's very crucial. I've I've almost been there in a place where it's demotivating me to the core, and you've seen me go through the whole process as well. And you were one of my pillars of strength through it. So it's just a hard place to be in. It's, as an artist, you need constant reaffirmation because that's when I know it sounds, people say you need to believe in yourself before others believe in you. But with an artist, we're kind of narcissistic. We need other people to kind of tell us, we think about ourselves, of course, but we also need external validation to make sure our work kind of shines through. And, if people actually like it. So I think it's something, it's a huge problem for me. I need that validation. So does every single artist, I'm sure. So, it's a hard part to like get through, but once you find your success, I think it's pretty easy to, just navigate through that.
So, what is like what is a good rule to have when you want to come up or when you're trying to come up?
Uh, as a filmmaker, as personal as it can get, I think it's all about um, listening to other people as well. It's not just your thoughts and your ideas out there. It's a lot of ideas. It's a huge collective, and I think something that I had refrained from was the fact that I was never open to ideas. I was a control freak. I wanted to do something, and everything in the way I visualized it. And you've seen it as well. But,
Mm.
through the years, for me, I think loosening up control over how something comes out is the whole, you know, it kind of beautifies your art form. So I think it's something that we definitely need to look at, trying to lose control a little bit to give people space to collaborate and bring in their own thoughts. So I think that's very important. I think second would just be perseverance. I think, you just need to, I know it's going to sound hypocritical when I said you need validation, but you also need to believe in yourself. But believing in yourself and th knowing that you can produce something, then that you can put out something that's not, generic, is something that it's a belief that has to come in from within you.
Mm.
So I think that's crucial for any growing artist for them to believe in the for them to like kind of believe in themselves, whether be it their own music, their own, sound, their own dance form, or even films. So That's what I believe in.
What would be an advice that you would like to give to a younger self?
To my younger self, nice, good question. I guess it would be to take criticism for what it is. It's something that no artist ever gets like on point. Criticism is something that we don't really, take to a good part of ourselves. Like, as much as people say, constructive and destructive and everything else, people don't realize that, like, artists especially have a soft spot for the work that they've created. And I think we need to take our criticisms with a pinch of salt to actually see that there might be something wrong or something that's not really coming through with in terms of our vision. So I think that was something that I didn't have, and I'm still kind of trying to muster up my my confidence and lower down my ego to hear other people out and take criticism for what it is, whether it may be negative or positive. So I think it's essential for everyone else to do the same. Hmm.
So, I mean, as an end, what would be your closing comments on the topic or on the whatever you want to say?
I know this has been like a really serious discussion and everything else, but
Hmm.
I mean, I might just sound like a repeat of everything else that everyone else has spoken about. But I think artists, as a collective, as all of us together, we really need to, whatever it may be, a pandemic, we might have something else going on later. I think art thrives in the face of adversity. It always has, and history has proven it time and again. Some of the best films on the planet were made during the world wars. Like,
Yeah.
um, even with India, through a famine and everything else, Satyajit Ray was making his films. So, you know, times of adversity give us like this push towards this nudge, a reset towards the way we look at our art. So I think this is, um, an essential, like, this is a good space and chunk of time for us to relax, kind of rejuvenate and set off on a path that we haven't experimented with yet. So I think an artist has to and should always keep experimenting with whatever they do. And I think we're on the brink of that and we'll do the same. Hopefully we do the same, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for having me. I would have loved to have my face live and, showing my video and everything else, but it kind of got messed up. But thank you so much
maybe
for having me.
maybe next time. Next time we should try without technical difficulties. That's why we're having
Yeah.
season break. We're trying to get away with we're trying to get the whole thing organized proper.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, the season finale was great, and I think a lot of work has gone in, and a lot
Yeah.
of insightful, you know, thoughts and provoking thoughts have gone into this whole ordeal, and the conversation that you've had with every single artist. Maybe try to split them up as different artists when you post them.
Oh yeah,
So,
will do.
okay, great. So you're okay, that's great. So, it'll just come out and people can just listen to particular segments. And, great job, guys. Great job.
Thank you so much.
What a season finale.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. See you
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
So with that, we shall get Polish back as final comments, closing regards, as not only for this episode, but for the season, for this schedule as a whole.
Swati,
Uh,
I really don't know what to say, man. Like, we had an amazing episode. A lot of effort went into this one, I must say.
yes.
A lot of, I, wa- I think you were well prepared. Usually before any live, there'll be about 5 phone calls Adi and I make.
Yes.
There was only one,
Ah.
mostly to say, hey, just make sure you don't need to pee or something before the recording goes. So like it was more of a confirmation. Make sure you're ready to go live. That kind of a call. So I don't know. I was very, but again, I don't know why I keep saying this, but uh, this episode is very special to me because I don't consider myself an artist, but I always envy them because I find them they are one of the few people that have the opportunity to do something they fully love.
Hmm.
Like, and that's something that one day I want to do. I don't know what I will be considered art, but I think at the end of the day, art has couple of definitions, but I think two definitions is something that makes the consumer emote, but more importantly, that when you're doing, I think the artist is emoting in some way or the other, and one day hopefully I'll be able to do that. And that I think that and looking and so this whole episode has just been me looking up to all of these people, but I think I keep bringing this one phrase up. Like I feel like I'm in my school's annual day, but because I say that because that's one of the few things I really enjoyed as a kid. Rehearsing for the plays, set department, prop department, all that, and technical department, all of those crazy antics. But it was one of the few times in my life I was fully just present in the moment, not really worried about what's happening, what's going to happen. I was just involved in the now, and you know and especially this felt like the annual day because it had so much preparation and it felt like a big performance towards the end. That same butterfly in the stomach feeling I got when I went live at 4:30, and it's been roughly the same time. Our annual days usually start at 4:30; they go on till 9:30. So I must say, all that's missing is a dinner from Sangeeta.
Maybe we'll do that after the lockdown. Who knows?
Lockdown for sure.
But yeah, with this podcast at least, right? I got a few takeaways. But basically, the things I want to say uh, is just three things I really wanted to say through the entire live was art is something that we really underappreciate. We don't really see the point of art until we can no longer have it. For example, when we are in prison, people have written about how they miss going to the movies. Like right now, you're in prison, and things you're missing are going to the movies, looking at a good scenery, uh, the beauty of new music coming out. So many things you're missing are mostly artistic things. And just like how Sushant Singh's death has proven that we only appreciate artists once they're gone. Like his movie is the highest rated movie right now from India, and if only he could see that before he died, the world would have been such a better place for him. Uh, PewDiePie made a beautiful video about it,
Yeah,
and I urge you guys to
it's
watch the video. But
Yeah, it's one thing when PewDiePie approves of you, man. I don't know much
yeah,
about the guy, but the man is at least is quite is the man knows a little bit of life. So
yeah,
when he approves of something, you definitely need to have a look.
and it's really sad that we've lost so many artists like this, and hopefully with time things like that will change. The importance to art is not with today; it's in the past. I would say, imagine when people were hardly living. People had to be hunter gatherers. We were barely human, right? At that time, we still produced art. When we need every single hand to be doing something that would progress our community, when we needed every single person to be hunting,
Not progress, sustain, right?
sustain our community, we still allocated time to put something down in the annals of time. Like we allocated uh, like things we
Cave
allocated supply.
paintings.
Yeah, for paint
Yeah,
you need for painting you need paint, and for paint you need resources. You need resources that would go into art instead of food. And a lot of the food at that time was the paint. So people actually looked at this thing and said, instead of me consuming this and living off it, I want to make something that would live longer than me. And I think that is the
like they
beauty of
chose it
art.
over survival.
Yeah,
right?
we chose art over survival, and I think that is something we have to uphold. We have to choose art over survival at all times, because that is the one thing that will uh, go beyond us. And the second thing I want to say is, uh, it always seemed to me that science and medicine and everything is just to progress the life of humanity, while the reason to live, as said by uh, Dead Poet Society, is art, literature, and romance. Art, literature, and romance is the reason that you want to live for a longer time. Without art, literature, and romance, what is the point of living for a longer time? You're just going to be living in a white box for the rest of your life. That seems an unbearable thing. And the last thing I want to say is, from Ratatouille. It's not anyone can be a great chef. It's that a great chef can be anyone. It can come from anywhere. And same for artists. Like, you have uh, these people who we consider role models, and these people who are the people who break through barriers. Like, for music in India, obviously it's A.R. Rahman. Before A.R. Rahman, you have Ilayaraja. For South, or from India as a whole, you have no other music director like A.R. Rahman. For filmmaker, you have people like, for Asia, Akira Kurosawa, or India, Satyajit Ray. But for me personally, Parasite is that breakthrough movie. Until then, no movie has won Best Picture. No movie has got international recognition. And then a great director came from South Korea, and nobody expected him to win a Best Picture, Best Director. And that happened, right? So
Should have been
all
Tamil Nadu, man. Should have been Super Deluxe.
Super Lux could have, if only we let it go to the Oscars. But that is a topic for a whole different
Yes.
podcast.
Mhm.
But you can be that. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
Agreed. Yeah.
anyone who is watching this, or anyone who's listening to this, uh, you could be that A.R. Rahman or Satyajit Ray. Instead of you looking up to that person, somebody could be looking up to you. If only you could endure the level that they endured, and if you just go to the place that they went to, you would be the person that somebody would look up to and come to a greater person than you. Like, the greatest prize to a teacher is not money. It is it's the student reaching a higher level than they could have reached. That is the greatest prize to a teacher, right? And I think as artists, that is the greatest takeaway
I
we
think
should have.
I just like to add one thing to this. Okay, so I'm a huge like Steve Jobs devotee. Okay, like he's he's one man that's really defined a lot of things for me in life, and you know what Apple was, or today even what Apple is, right? And forget Apple, like as a human being, right? There's a really nice interview of him, and it's really old. It's pretty hard to find, but it essentially says this, right? All your life you are shown these great things, like the movie Parasite, uh, like the iPhone, right? You're just shown these great things. You can't seem to understand that how essentially people who were hunter gatherers managed to even come this far. They're so great. And then all you need to realize, I'm giving you the essence, I'm not quoting him. I mean, all you need to realize is these people are normal people like you do, like you are, right? Like you could also be the person who made that. And same is for art, same is for whatever it is, right? But I think that quote is one quote that really changed me, because for the longest time I had held this pedestal. If I had kept people I looked up to on this pedestal, right? And a couple of things happened to that. One, my self-esteem came up, because it wasn't that my self-esteem was low. It was just that the worth I had placed on people I look up to was so high I could never reach there. So automatically, when I reduced that, my self-esteem sort of equaled out, and I was like, one day I can go here. And I think too, it set me up on a lot of things. But it made me want to be an entrepreneur. It taught me how to treat business, how to mask business and make it look like a very consumable thing to consumers. All that, but mostly because of his contribution to business. But one thing it really showed me is that I need to do what he did, but intentionally. What he did, he inspired some random kid in Bangalore yeah, you can call the IT city whatever, but some random kid in Bangalore who honestly like was bullied in school, so like zero self-esteem. He made that kid make it his life mission to at least inspire 10 more kids, because if he inspires 10 more kids, and if two of those 10 more kids inspire 10 more kids, we'll have far more people like Steve Jobs doing great things, contributing to the planet. And I think that's what artists do. The reason to be in a position to inspire is something very special, and I think artists are there constantly, and that's why they're important. That's why, like Krish said, right? They are the backbone of society in a really different way. You can't see them, but they're integral.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
as backbone is, right?
correct. Yeah, I think that's it for this
Yeah,
episode. But can we take some time to reflect on the season? How much time more do we have?
we have a lot of time. We have 20 minutes.
Okay, can we please? I don't know, man. I'm very emotional. Like, this is exactly how I feel at the end of the annual day when we sing the national anthem. Everybody's standing up. The stage lights are off. The fluorescent lights are on. It's all boring again. Everything snaps back to reality. So yeah, it's. But what I'm really happy for multiple reasons. One, I don't know, a lot of you guys know, but it's been my lifelong dream essentially to become an RJ. The only reason I didn't do it is for a not no more TKB bench. This first season is down, so we're taking a break for a couple of weeks. Hopefully, T Corals will be happening, but we want to take a break, recharge, and come back better and stronger. Hopefully, with and better and setup.
Yeah,
Yes, in a few weeks. Yes, so yeah. So what I'm like I was saying, right? So it's been my lifelong dream to be an RJ, and again, this has given me one small version to sort of live that dream, and the best ways possible, because the best part about a radio, I didn't even like the music from the radio. I really like the talking, so I'm actually living my dream. And I think this whole podcast has been a huge change in perspective for me, because I'm doing something I really, really love. Because the reason I didn't become an RJ, I didn't become a photographer, I didn't become a filmmaker, was because I wasn't sure if I'll make money, not even because if I'll make an impact. And that was a terrible decision. And the reason I pursued computer science, despite being interested, it wasn't even to start a business. Everything sort of boiled down to money after a point of like, I need to be successful financially. And that really sort of messed things up. And I think after a long time, I'm doing something I love, and I'm doing something that, that requires me to live in the moment, as I need to do for annual day, zero period. So I'm very happy that this is happening, and I'm really that's why I thank the audience at the end of every episode for allowing me to do this, and even giving me some insight into myself. Yeah,
yeah,
Adi, what about you? Do you have
yeah.
any
Same.
thoughts
Like,
about this season?
my goal in life is one day get all the things I want to get. Like, not like getting, like reach all the places I want to reach, settle my goals, and then become a teacher. But I like talking. I like talking a lot. I like giving out the random trivia I give, and the random things that I say is what I'm really passionate about in the end. And so this has been a platform, and it's amazing that people actually want to sit and listen to this. Like, we have so many avid listeners to our Spotify podcast, and I don't understand. I don't understand why this is happening, but like, it's phenomenal to see that 30 people. It's not a phenomenal number, but like 20 people, 30 people. Some episodes have 40, 50 people, and like we're like it's unbelievable why 40, 50 people are listening to this. But this is what we wanted to do. It is something that came out of passion, something that came out of like nothing.
It's,
So
it's
nice.
something that literally came out of nothing, right? Like you said.
Yeah, literally. It wasn't pre-planned. It got planned as people watched, and it happened.
Really is something great, man. I think. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Nothing else. Maybe
Yeah, I think it's too
maybe
perfect,
stay
right?
tuned. Stay tuned for the next season.
Just give us a couple of weeks and we'll come back much better. We promise.
Yeah, much better. We'll have a whole
Yeah,
new season.
hopefully Corona's like gone down, so we can actually improve certain things like audio quality, or maybe we're looking into things actively. But yeah, all right. I think with that really thoughtful reflection, we'd like to end this episode season. Uh, Thank you so much for listening. And as usual, Nandri.
வணக்கம்.